Welcome back. You're listening to Get Real, and I'm your host, Bob Gallagher. Joining me in the studio today, we have Neil White with Lair Realty Partners. Neil covers the Norfolk County and surrounding areas. Welcome to the show, Neil.
Hey, thanks for having me, Bob.
So why don't we talk a little bit about what you're doing in real estate, how you're working with buyers and sellers, and then we can kind of talk about where the real estate market is headed, because a lot of people have a lot of questions out there right now.
I bet. It's a very fast-paced market right now, especially for buyers in particular, sellers as well. It seems to me like you put your house on the market today and it's gone like the next day.
Yeah. Sometimes the same day. Yeah.
So it's nice. You get a listing presentation and you can promise a seller client a house being sold in a certain amount of time. So
right.
I think it's a good advantage to have in this market as a realtor for a seller client for sure. For buyers, it's more coaching. You have to prepare them for a market that is competitive.
That's a good word for it.
That's what it is. It's you got to be. Only one person gets the house, and you have to live up to the standards of what the market bears. So you put yourself in a situation, you put an offer on a house. If you're a first-time home buyer in particular, you have to realize that you might be going up against a 20% down. Somebody that already bought a house, they might have sold a house, and now they're in a different situation. They have a lot of cash behind them. You might be competing with a cash buyer. And as you know, as a mortgage person, when you're a 3% down buyer competing with a cash buyer, it's difficult. Right? And there's ways around it. I mean, you can waive a home inspection. I don't typically would recommend that unless it's somebody, a contractor that knows what they're doing. But other than you could drop the home inspection.
Now, if you drop the home inspection, you can still do one, right? You just can't go back to the seller.
You could do one. Well, see, the problem is if you're competing with a cash buy, even if a seller's going to sit there and say, I'll even take an offer for less money, a little bit less money, and have to waive a home inspection altogether, then have a home inspection, and then hope that it appraises after the inspection negotiation is completed.
Right.
So accepting a cash buyer from a seller standpoint, even if it's a little bit less money, might be more comfortable for them.
Right. So it could be the safer bet.
Right. So you could put an escalation clause as a buyer, right? Oh, let's go $10,000 above the list price. There's no way we can lose, right? That's what the buyer's thinking. They don't understand that. Well, yeah, you could win. You might have the highest price of the three offers. Let's say there's three. You might have the highest price, but as far as the best choice for the seller, they want to make sure that the accepted offer appraises.
Right.
They don't want to go 3 weeks into the deal and then find out that the whole thing gets blown up because the appraisal came in low.
Right.
And you can't. Then they have to put it back on the market, and they're at square one again.
Right.
So you just have to, and it depends on the location. As you get closer to Boston, there's a lot more cash than as you get out to the suburbs. There's a lot less of it. And when you're going for a single family home, I wouldn't say cash is necessarily your main competition. That's worst case scenario.
Right.
If you're a buyer broker and you have a cash client,
that's always
a nice
fun.
situation, right?
Yeah.
But predominantly as a 28-year-old male, I deal with a lot of younger buyers that need financing.
Right.
So I like to educate them other that from the get-go, you already accomplished something by qualifying for a pre-approval. So congratulations to you. But be prepared that you might have to put yourself in a multiple offer situation in this market with multiple houses.
Right.
But just have the faith that the one that you get is the one that what you were supposed to get.
Right.
And that's how it usually works.
Right.
It's unbelievable to me. I mean, I have buyer clients, and we go through, and we lose a house, we miss out on a house. And it amazes me how resilient these buyers are. I'm the one discouraged, and they sit there and they pick me up. Neil, go to the gym. Neil, it's okay. We're going to find another one. And then I do it for them in another situation.
Right.
Right? And we're working together. And then we find the one, we get the accepted offer, it appraises.
Right.
You have your inspection. You sign your purchase and sale, and then you get to the closing, and then you kind of open your eyes and say, wow, this was meant to be. It's really cool. It's really cool.
And they end up liking that house more than the first four they fell in love with.
Exactly.
Right.
It's just it's almost just like it was meant to be.
Right.
And it's pretty cool how that works in this business.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's good that you're prepping them for that, because a lot of people, even today, think they're just going to go out, and if they offer a little more, they're going to get the first house that they want to get.
Right. I mean, it's important for any buyer, any layman buyer, to understand that it's not just price. There's so many more ways that you can make your offer. You could have you can go from FHA to conventional, right? You can go from 3% down to 15% down.
Right.
I mean, you could waive the home inspection. You can do inspection for informational purposes only. There's a lot of different ways. A sooner closing date. There might be less money, but there's no home sale contingency in this particular buyer. You know, that's an advantage for somebody like my buyers. They don't own houses.
Right.
Well, obviously, home sale contingencies make your offer weaker.
Right.
Because then the seller has to accept an offer, and they have to hope that you sell yours.
Right.
So when you're in a situation, so you want an agent, right? If I was a buyer, I'd want an agent that would ask that question. Hey, you have multiple offers. Do you have a home sale contingency? That's a very important question, because then you know if the realtor and the seller choose to answer that question, you get that information, then you know you're one step ahead of maybe that one other offer that's out there because you don't have a home sale contingency. Then you can look at other ways to make your offer stronger. Maybe you could push out the closing date. Maybe the seller wants a little bit more time, so you can be more flexible. Maybe they want to close sooner rather than later, so you talk to your mortgage officer like yourself and you say, hey, can we get a commitment letter by this date so we can close sooner,
right?
And that's part of the communication.
And didn't your customer win a bid recently because you told the seller's agent that your buyer could be flexible to give them time to find a house, and they ended up getting it because of that?
Right. I mean, flexibility is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Flexibility is valuable, right? It's not paper, it's not money. You're not making more money off the house per se, right?
Right.
But it's convenience. People want to be able to sit there and have the convenience of going through the process with as little stress as possible, and that's valuable. Would you rather have a more stressful deal and make $5,000 more on the house? Or would you rather have a less stressful deal and make $5,000 less on the house?
Right.
That's not to say that price isn't important. Price is very important. People want, I wouldn't blame anybody for trying to get the most amount of money for their house. It's part of the reason why I do my Shark Stats, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But price is important. Flexibility is important, and it's valuable. Price is just as important. It's the whole deal as a whole. They're going to look at the whole deal from your pre-approval strength to if you're going to have a home inspection, what kind of financing you have, when you want to sign your purchase and sale, how much money you're going to put down with your purchase and sale, and when are you going to close.
Right.
And then they're going to look at all that, and they're going to look at all the prices too, and they're going to sit there and say, okay, which one is the best value that we consider the best value for a house, as well as the most convenient.
Right.
And when you can create an offer that's at the price that the seller's looking for and the market bears, right? A fair market value price. And you can make it in a multiple offer situation as convenient as possible. And the only way you can do that is by finding out information. So you want somebody to be able to find out the important information. You want to hire a buyer agent that's going to go and reach out to that listing broker and get that important information. Because without that important information, you're going to have a really tough time in this market.
Right.
So the goal is, don't get discouraged. Expect that in this market you're going to compete against multiple offers and expect that you might lose. But anticipate that you will win, and you continue to put offers in, and you have the agent ask the right questions until eventually you're in a multiple offer situation and you came up with that right offer and it gets accepted.
Right. Now, when you have a customer that's getting discouraged because they've been in multiple offer situations and haven't gotten the property, what's your advice to them? We every once in a while we'll hear from somebody, well, maybe I should just wait until next year or wait 12 months and then try again. What's your advice for people that are thinking that way?
Well, it's a good question. So it's kind of like, it's a similar question to like how when you're talking to a seller and you want to like, how can I make my house look more valuable, right? So that it sells. Well, from a buyer standpoint, what can I do to make myself more valuable? What can you do? Well, there's a couple of things that you can do. So what I would recommend is you don't give up. You never give up. If you want to buy, you have to be on top of the market, and you have to be committed to staying on top of the market because, as you know, something gets listed on Wednesday, no showings until Sunday, open house on Sunday, multiple offers on Monday, okay, and it's gone on Tuesday morning. So you're unfortunately for the buyers right now, you're not going to have an opportunity to go in that house, right? Go in it again, and decipher whether you want it or not. You really have to make that split second decision. So you have to be prepared to be able to do that in this market if you want to win, right? So what can you do? You stay prepared to be. You keep your pre-approval up to date, right? You proactively you see a listing come on, and your buyer broker sees a listing come on.
Right.
You both are on top of it together. You see it's listed. There's an open house. So sometimes there's an open house listed on Sunday, and I've gotten a deal through this. I've gotten a very good deal. They listed on MLS. They list the open house on Sunday, but they didn't list no showings for the open house until Sunday. They just said open house on Sunday. So we were proactive, and we went in. We asked for if we can get in a showing before the open house. We went in on Friday. We sat down. My client and I, we saw the property. My client liked it. We went and had a bite to eat. We filled out the offer. We had it expire before that open house on Saturday, and we ended up getting the deal. And I am 100% sure that in this market, that if we had let that open house happen, that we would have lost.
Right, because there have been too many offers to compete with.
Either because of how many offers there were, price, or percent down. You know, I mean, we're closer to. This was a deal closer to Boston,
right?
So you're dealing with a lot more stronger buyers,
right?
You know, 20% down, 50% down, cash buyers. So the only way that you're going to get an accepted offer in a market like that, when you're a first-time home buyer with financing, is you beat the market. You're one step ahead of the market.
Right.
So we went in. You know, everybody wanted to go to the open house. We went in before the open house. We submitted the offer before the open house. We were lucky enough to get that offer accepted before they even had the open house.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And one of the other things that's probably worth pointing out, too, is that waiting till next year isn't necessarily going to help you. The likely outcome is higher rates and higher purchase prices. All you really have done is cheated yourself out of a year's worth of equity.
You're gambling. Yeah, you're cheating yourself out of equity. You're gambling on what might happen instead of what's happening. Another thing to consider is if you give up and you say, "I'll wait till next year." Well, you can wait till next year. That's okay, and that's your personal decision. But if you can find a house between now and next year, from a buyer's perspective, you know, I talk about sellers. When should they list for their best interest? You find a house between November and February that you like. And it's been on the market for 30 days. It's been on the market for 45 days. Guess what you're going to have an opportunity to do in this market? Negotiate.
Yeah.
And if you're a buyer and you can negotiate in this market, you're a happy buyer.
Yes, you are. Yeah, because not many of them get to do that anymore.
I mean, it's so funny because I deal with a lot of buyers, and it's like I'm trying to coach them to get them the house. But it's almost like I'm coaching them. I'm like, you gotta go higher. And it's hard for them to understand. Well, you're supposed to get me the house for, you know, you're supposed to get it for less. We're supposed to go down. No, my job is to get you the house with the best terms in your best interest. But my goal is to get you the house.
Right.
If I don't get you the house, if I never get you a house, then why are you hiring me?
Right.
Right.
Exactly. I want to give out your contact info for anybody listening that's looking to buy or sell anywhere in the Norfolk County area and surrounding areas. You should give Neil a call. Neil White with Lair Realty Partners. Best way to get him is a cell number, 508-685-4147. That number again is 508-685-4147. Why don't we talk about Shark Stats, because we're getting low on time.
Sure, I'd be happy to. How much time we got?
We got a couple minutes left, 2.5 minutes left.
2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, Shark Stats. So what I do is I do a weekly segment every Wednesday. It's on my Facebook page. It's Neil White Realtor. You'll see a little my name, my phone number, a little shark logo there if you look it up on Facebook. So what I do is I do a segment. It's about 10 to 20 minutes long every week, and I pick a market, just a local market, and I generally aim it towards Norfolk County, but I always ask if anybody ever has a town that they want me to do, just to reach out, and I'll do it. But what I do is I go through the statistics. I go through the statistics of what's happened in the previous month, what's under contract right now, what are the statistics look for that, the statistics for active listings, what happened last year in last year's market, how is it comparing to what's happening in this year's market, and then I'm using that information to anticipate what's going to happen within the months to come. I'm trying to stay one step ahead of the market instead of one step behind it, similar to what I was talking about with the buyer and the open house.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure. I'm just trying to find a way that I can differentiate myself as a 28-year-old man and say, I think I can offer you a service different than, say, another realtor might. And not only that, I'm building a resume with it. I've had 2 listings and I've used it with. The goal of what I was doing was to try to get the house sold for as much money as possible, with the ultimate goal of getting multiple offers, because I feel like if you can get multiple offers from a seller standpoint, so if you can get multiple offers on a house and it's listed at X price, you get multiple offers. Let's say in this scenario, you ask for final and best and you have multiple offers. Every offer has a chance to come back by tomorrow. They all come back, and then you choose one. You're getting maximum value based on what the market bears in that case, because they don't have a number that they're looking at anymore. They're submitting their final and best on an emotional decision, which is what real estate is. It's very emotional.
Right.
But if you're a seller and you want to try to get the most amount of money out of your investment, then you want multiple offers, and that's what I'm trying to do for sellers.
Smart. That's smart. I'm going to give out your contact info again. It's Neil White with Lair Realty Partners. Cell phone number 508-685-4147. Again, it's 508-685-4147. You cover Norfolk County and surrounding areas.
That's right.
Right?
Norfolk County surrounding areas.
Right, and the site again on Facebook for Shark Stats?
It's Neil White Realtor. So when you go and look it up, Neil White, NEILWHITE, Realtor, you'll see my name. It'll be like half of a whiteboard, and you'll see a shark on the Facebook page. So take a look at it. Take a look at my page. Take a look at some of my Shark Stats, some of my previous sales. I plan on being in the business a while, and I appreciate this opportunity very much, Bob. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on, Neil. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more Get Real after this.